An amalgamation of dark emotions and strife, the Angry Sorrowsworn is Dungeons & Dragons' most miserable abomination, its entire being representing a physical manifestation of the melancholic Shadowfell. Previously known simply as the Angry Sorrowsworn is a terrifying monstrosity and cements its spot as the most feared of the Sorrowsworn-type monsters. It appears as a twisted, contorted, humanoid-shaped lump of flesh and bone, made even worse by their size of medium, bringing their appearance all a little too close to that of the adventurers that may encounter them. Each Sorrowsworn takes on a subtle difference in appearance based on the exact aspect of despair, distress, and emotional anguish they embody, with the 5 main types of Sorrowsworn being the Wretched, Lost, Lonely, Hungry, and Angry Sorrowsworn in ascending deadliness. And while this seemed to be cause to take pity on these sad creatures, it is well worth remembering that there is reason behind their horrific reputations. These things subsist on emotion, and anger in particular is extremely effective at sustaining the existence of the angry variant, which is of course the focus of this video. They feed off of the emotion, absorbing it as if it were the oxygen in the air that we breathe, and the more pure and explosive the anger it is exposed to happens to be, the more powerful, lively, and dangerous they become. Its home plane, the Shadowfell, is itself a plane of dark energy, and the very environment itself vastly exacerbates the strength of negative emotions exhibited there. This makes it a bleak, miserable place to be at the best of times, but this stagnant pool of fetid feelings is what allows the Angry Sorrowsworn to thrive. While they are sullenly content with the very emotionally polluting atmosphere of the Shadowfell, Angry Sorrowsworn grows substantially more powerful when their enemies fight back. Taking damage elicits somewhat of a chain reaction in the Angry Sorrowsworn's abominable biology, causing them to become vehemently furious, almost igniting the very atmosphere around them in a flash of red mist as the emotion is driven to a fever pitch by the amplifying qualities of the Shadowfell. This rage is then channeled by the Angry Sorrowsworn into a physical manifestation of pure hellishness that is then utilized to dish out even more powerful attacks in return. The Angry Sorrowsworn is a very dangerous monster at the best of times, with a stat block indicating its high levels of strength and resilience, showcasing it as a tanky, melee-hungering horror. This is reinforced by its solid armor class of 18 and its average hit point pool of 255. Based on this information, it is safe to assume that the Angry Sorrowsworn will look to engage their foes in close combat as soon as possible. This head-on collision approach to combat allows it to make use of its hideous hook-like appendages, that it will then use to slice through its enemies as if they were nothing more than the most luxurious of all the smooth butter products. This goes hand in hand with its inbuilt Rising Anger ability, which gives the Angry Sorrowsworn advantage on its attack rolls until the end of its next turn, the trigger for activating this being for something to strike and deal damage to the Sorrowsworn. This ability also causes the next hook attack that hits on a relevant turn to deal an additional chunk of psychic damage, which is very in keeping with the thematic nature of dealing with such a hateful entity. To top it off, the Angry Sorrowsworn benefits from resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, but only while hiding away in dark or dim light. This represents the creature's shadowy affinity, with the very lack of light itself providing the creature a viscous shield. These guys also benefit from advantage on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, being stunned, or knocked unconscious, thanks to them possessing not just one, but 2 heads. To make combat feel a little bit more organic, as a DM you could allow a strategizing party the option of disabling one of the heads, therefore removing the Angry Sorrowsworn's twin cranium-related resistances. Despite their seemingly endless rage, the Angry Sorrowsworn do in fact have a weakness that a cunning party may be able to tap into: pacifism. Without anything to get riled up over, the Angry Sorrowsworn becomes confused and loses any pent-up rage that it had previously generated from being struck. If it does not get dealt damage between its current and next turn, the Angry Sorrowsworn attacks at disadvantage due to the situation's jarring nature. Outside of combat, the Angry Sorrowsworn is attracted to the emotion of anger, so a calm, relaxed, jovial, or otherwise completely passive party could potentially move by it unchallenged. This interaction is, as always, up to the DM, and you could make the excuse that that would be an almost impossible situation to achieve in the emotionally stirring Shadowfell, save perhaps for the use of magic such as Mind Blank, which could potentially render a person invisible to the Angry Sorrowsworn, due to their sheer lack of emotional presence. Now, it is incredibly rare to find an Angry Sorrowsworn outside of the Shadowfell itself. This is because the Shadowfell, as discussed before, amplifies negative emotions drastically, and the Angry Sorrowsworn require this sheer bleakness to fuel their very life essence. Without the emotional amplification provided by their native plane, they simply cannot exist, and either melt away into nothingness or otherwise perish. These things are fairly plentiful throughout the Shadowfell, however, but if you did want to run one outside of that desolate domain, you'll have to get creative. Now here are just some that I thought of. A warlock or another type of dark magician could potentially bind an Angry Sorrowsworn to an artifact of power that radiates the Shadowfell's hatred and malice, therefore allowing them to utilize an Angry Sorrowsworn or two as a bodyguard or a protector for their lair. Well, while it stays bound, of course. A mad alchemist in your world could decide that the power possessed by the Angry Sorrowsworn would be great if it could be distilled into a potion, going out of their way to capture and retrieve Angry Sorrowsworn from the Shadowfell. This of course could lead to all manner of situations, with the Sorrowsworn escaping, or the alchemist realising their goal, only to discover the horrifying consequences of their actions. Or perhaps a barbarian has taken the getting angry trope to such an extreme that their very soul has exuded enough rage to drag an Angry Sorrowsworn into the material plane. It is then down to you to quell the barbarian's rage, or face an endless swarm of the Shadowfell's most furious, as they continue to pour forth from this source of raw, uncontrollable fury. However you encounter them, the Angry Sorrowsworn is a monstrosity that should not be trifled with, and this archivist at the very least would highly recommend staying well away, lest you wish to meet your doom in the hooked grasp of one of the realm's most disturbingly dangerous denizens. Hello everyone, Ben here, and thank you very much for watching the video as always. I really hope you enjoyed learning more about the rage-hungering Angry Sorrowsworn, and if you did like it, I'd really appreciate it if you could drop a like on the video, maybe a comment down below, and of course if you haven't already, subscribing to the channel. There's plenty more coming your way very soon, but for now, if you'd like to check out something else, why not another feature, or perhaps it's time for you to get stuck into the Dungeons and Death Battle series, which has just entered the second stage of the quarterfinals.